Welcome back. Yes, indeed. Both gentlemen join us this morning. We've got Senator Babajide Omoworare, who was a former senior special assistant to the president, President Buhari, on National Assembly matters. Also, was a senator in the 7th to 8th Senate. He joins us virtually. We'll also have Laulu here with us, former presidential aide. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
Okay, Senator, let me start with you. Let's get your... Okay, we'll get back to the Senator. Laulu, Democracy Day. Quite a number of things come to mind when people speak about democracy. To a lot of people, just a sing-song, because to them, what does it matter? But to others who are supposed to drill down and ensure that, look, what it really does mean for democracy across board, including our profession, perhaps there'll be questions. But for you, when you hear Democracy Day, commemorating Democracy Day, how does it sound to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a representation of our aspiration as a people, the kind of life that we want to live, the kind of government that we want to have, and the expectation that freedom will be the priority in this interrelationship between people and government. That is why Democracy Day is such a big deal. And the idea of having a Democracy Day on June 12 rather than May 29 is an excellent one.
But do you agree with those who say many of these persons who are in positions of power today, who talk about Democracy Day, if you look at how they themselves have conducted elections in their own states, it falls short of the standards expected from June 12th, for instance?
Yeah, without a doubt, there are quite ongoing questions about the legitimacy of our elections. But what I think is possible is that the more we enlarge the democratic space, the less of these problems that we have to deal with, which is why people like me have decided that one of what I will be doing going forward is to engage the public space and bring people to the realization of their power when they speak up, when they understand their responsibility and their roles. We've had too much partisanship and rather mediocre discussion of important issues. We need to elevate the discussion. We need to let the people be aware that they have power. Power belongs to them. Regardless of what kind of constitution that you have, the power comes from the people. If the people know that and begin to behave like that, the leaders will have no choice but follow through.
What do you think is restricting people from understanding that? Because that is the most important. Is it institutional poverty? What's making people not understand how much power they have over their leaders?
Yeah, poverty is in my view, poverty is one of the strongest factors, that limits people from understanding, first of all, who they are. Mystery and abject poverty, disease. These are the kind of things that don't allow people to understand their purpose, who they are, what they can do, what they represent. And that is why we always say that, look, one of the things that government must do is to deal with the multidimensional poverty in this country. The reason why you have all this political chicanery in our country is because poverty has been weaponized. So to your question, very simply, it's poverty in my view.
I mean, so is it then a stretch in many ways to say this was done on purpose, impoverishing the people? If I was a wicked politician, that's what I'd do. I'd make them poor mentally. I'd make sure that economically they're not able to take care of themselves. That way I can get my way.
Yeah, well, but the split side of it is that everybody must also take responsibility for their lives, So you will always find politicians who will take that advantage, but you will always find a few who will also speak right and try to do what is right. So the choice is now left for the people to identify who is it that is advancing the public interest. The public interest is what is so critical. The Commonwealth, everything that we have in this country belongs to all of us, whether you are in government or you are outside of government.
The indices that have put the people in this level of poverty, that has brought us to where we are right now, it hasn't changed. How do we expand the democratic space and get people to understand their powers if they really don't have any?
Well, so we need people in the political elite who really want to pursue public interest. Right now, we have too many people in the political class who are interested in what they get. So we have to populate that space with more people who have genuine public interest. And I tell you, there are a lot of them.
Get most of these Nigerians to be a part of the political space.
Absolutely.
And then start to change things from within.
From within, it's the only way, if you want to use peaceful means.
Well, else you find yourself in the gulag. But, what kind of steps, Mr. Saliu Lukman just spoke moments ago about how he thinks that political parties have not actually, in fact, his political party, the APC, have not lived up to the ideals of their founding fathers. He said they started right from the time of former President Buhari, as a matter of fact. And then he also did say, look, even if, by inference, what we glean from that is, even if you were to put in place a group of people who say, yeah, we want ideals, we are, democratic, once they get hold of power, they become a different animal. And so it then means, yes, of course, eternal vigilance is a price.
Yeah.
You have what you have to do to keep all of these things going. So I'm sure that maybe as you engage the public space, you have several mindsets and several things you always want to see play out when disinformation gets out there to the people, such that it could bring about at least a good flowing system.
Yeah.
So talk about some of those things which you'd like to see if and when the people do get disinformation that should liberate them.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's start with the political elite. Now, look at what has happened between 1999 and now. So we've had, I think, about 4 or 5. Actually, this is the 5th president that we've had since 1999. Now, we see what former General Olusegun Obasanjo is trying to do. He was there for 8 years. In my view, seems to be the most significant in terms of successes so far. But he couldn't, translate himself into a political leader of example, because, the transition was very chaotic, and then he wanted to do a third term, which got, a splash in his face. So that has affected his own legitimacy in a sense. And now he seems to have realized, and now he's saying that, well, look, we don't have to follow this Western style. What he really needs to do is to concede that he did not transform the political leadership. He didn't show an example. And then we have, right after him, Yar'Adua, who seemed to be very forthright and wanted to be decisive, but because of his health, he died. And then, so it goes on and on. My point is that there will always be a judgment, quote unquote, a measurement. And, so if Obasanjo is regretting now, guess what will happen to all the other leaders if they don't do what is right when they are there? Because Obasanjo had all the opportunity in the world to do what is right in terms of empowering the people, in terms of empowering the political process. He did not. And that seems to be the key problem that we have. To your point, that the political process is composed of people who don't really want to pursue the public interest. So each of these leaders, they will be judged. President Buhari is being judged even by a member of his own party, Saliu Lukman, who said that he doesn't consider President Buhari a visionary leader. Now, how will President Buhari be feeling to be listening to that? So my point is that each of these leaders will be held accountable. The more we enlarge the space, they will think more of their legacy, I think. But if we don't speak out, if the people don't get empowered, then people will think, I'll just come, do my turn and go away. We need to begin to let them know that there will be consequences regarding your reputation and your legacy if you don't do what is right while in office.
Let's stretch that a bit further. His reputation. Former President Buhari, when he came in, as a matter of fact, lots of people will always attest to that. Several things appear to just take shape naturally, without him even moving a needle or lifting a finger. People, for months, and they thought, okay, because of his reputation preceding him, they thought it was going to be in a certain way, but alas, then the rest, they say, is history. What is it that makes certain persons, when they get into offices, and in spite of what people know them for, what they stand for, it doesn't, for the most part, seem to translate to society, to development, whatever it is that they stood for?
Yeah, well, several factors. At times is the capacity that they have. At times is the courage that they have or they don't have. At times is whether they have public interest more or private interest more. So it's a mixed bag of it.
How about people that surround them?
Yeah, well, it's even worse, because in many instances, look at what happened to President Buhari. I don't have any doubt that President Buhari has public interest. I watched him closely for 8 years. But the public interest that they have, he was not able to translate it, especially because of the people that surrounded him.
Some people say there's something off with the office itself. There's something happens when you go into.
Like what?
I don't know what it is. I mean, you've been in those corridors for longer than most people have. Is there something that happens? Because you're right. At the time when President Muhammadu Buhari came in, things just started happening. Everyone started getting in line because we're like, oh, yeah, he's here.
He's going to
Same thing happened with President Bola Tinubu. Oh, the money man is here. The economy is going to change. There'll be money around. Everyone has their flavor.
Right.
But something happens when they get in. We're looking at this person, and then you're wondering throughout this person's presidency, what happened to him? Did someone hit him with a stick? What changed about this fellow? Is it the corridors of power? Is it that our systems in Nigeria do not enable you to, help the people? What's the actual issue here?
Well, I think that at the end of the day, Kayla, the individual must take the responsibility. Because yes, there are the kind of people that you surround yourself with. For instance, look at what happened during President Buhari. Now, during the campaign, we all knew that the guy who was the chief of staff, quote unquote, was Colonel Ali, who became the customs chief. Now, you expect, as a matter of fact, he came into the villa with the president. He was already in the villa, just like all of us, even before we got our letters. But then, the situation changed. You had an Abba Kyari who did not participate in the election, who actually many people have said don't even believe that Buhari was going to win. Abba Kyari became the chief of staff, essentially caged the president, and the rest is history. So ultimately, it will have to be the person in charge. Why? How is it? You must be responsible for the people that you surround yourself with. I think this is the message that we're trying to also send to President Tinubu. You will be responsible for the people that you allow to cage you. Because guess what? At the end of 4 or 8 years, it's going to be your name. Just like the name of Buhari is being reflected upon now, it will be the name of Tinubu in 4 or 8 years. So the people who are in charge must take responsibility. They have to.
And from what is out there, in terms of, if you just go backtrack a bit, this president wants a good name for himself.
Yeah.
He always likes certain things wants to be associated with having done certain things. So it will be a huge ask if he doesn't live up to the billing. But how do they get feedback? Because even if you surround yourself with certain people, and then can they successfully cage them to the extent that everything you see is what they want you to see?
Well, that is where courage comes in. It's not worth it to have as a leader somebody who does not have personal courage, the courage to be able to make the difficult choices, and the tough choices.
Like what? Subsidy removal?
Well, subsidy removal is indeed a courageous choice.
Subsidy return,
but it was carelessly done.
Subsidy return.
So yeah. I mean, you have to give. I mean, there's a credit to say that look, we have to stop this thing, but then there is more importance. It's greater how you sort it out. So it was done right. It was he said it that we're going to do what seems to be the right thing, but there was no plan about how to do it. So ultimately, it's about courage. The people that you surround yourself with will bring you some value, and they will also bring you some weaknesses. It's up to you to determine where is the value and where is the weakness. I have seen leaders who, once they surround themselves with people, they just go back and relax. And because those are the people they trust, those are the people that are calling the shots. Now, I don't believe that those leaders, when they leave government, I don't believe that they will not regret it, because they will have time to reflect. And that's why you see a lot of people saying stuff after they've left office, because now they've gotten the chance to reflect. And that is why we're talking to the leaders currently, that look, do what is right when you have the opportunity now.